off top, now I know why the Ravens defense and the Ravens generally are so perplexing to teams, especially early in the game. They went from Mike McDonald to Zach Orr, and they haven't missed a beat with the way that they use these really impressive and versatile defenders to make flexible changes to their coverages and blitzes to confuse the hell out of players. So I looked at the Bills game because my buddy here, Charlie Kravitz, wanted to know how the Ravens were so effective at shutting down one of the best offenses in the league. And I saw a few different things. They were using their alignment to influence the protection and then dropping out and creating some unique coverages, some things that I don't think I've ever seen before. And I look back at all their games from this season after I saw this game, and they used a version of this particular coverage in other games, but the players adjusted differently because of the personnel they were playing against. So this is a coverage that I would call cover zero, but they're not blitzing. So Charlie, if I give you this coverage and I say it's cover zero, where do you think the blitz is coming from?
Okay, so I'm looking at the X's and O's here. Mm-hmm. You've got Josh Allen in an empty set. And it looks like there are 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, including Marlon Humphrey, who's in the slot, but pretty tight. And then Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, and Marcus Williams up close. It looks to me like we're going to get an overload blitz off of the right tackle with Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton.
Right. I think good instincts there because 32, you need somebody to normally replace somebody if someone's blitzing. You need a capper. So Kyle Hamilton's 14 and 32, Williams right there could be the capper replacer. You could bring both of those and do a zone blitz off of it. So that's good instinct. You're a good football mind. See what happens here. You're dead wrong. No one blitzes. So the thing about this that I thought was incredibly impressive and interesting is that they don't send anyone on a blitz. They still get Allen flushed out of the pocket, and they have zero coverage in the back end, which makes for a bunch of pressure on them, but it frees up other players. So if you look at this right here, I'll pause it right here. We got 3 spies. Kind of 3 spies. And it seems like Matabike is spying, defensive lineman who's spying, and Smith are spying on the back. But it looks like what Roquan is doing is they obviously are anticipating that Josh is going to get flushed out. Roquan turns back and starts looking for the crossers because how many times have we seen
Kyle Hamilton? Kyle Hamilton picks up Dalton.
My bad. Yeah. Roquan is spying on Allen, and Kyle Hamilton is turned back facing all the guys that are flushing to the right, all the receivers, and he's there trying to catch him. How many times have you seen Josh Allen flush out to the right side of the pocket, and Mahomes does a similar thing, and then they find someone crossing the field that they can hit? Here it is again. This is the same coverage, but they, again, look at this. Where would you guess here, Charlie, that the blitz is coming from?
I mean, I'm guessing
everywhere.
I'm guessing we're getting at least pressure from the 5 men on the line of scrimmage, which is the 4 down linemen and Roquan Smith, who's sort of lined up. It seems like where a traditional defensive end would be lined up.
All right, so look at 44 right there, Humphrey.
And he looks like he's in the slot on Singletary.
He looks like he's in coverage. And again, we get this same situation where we end up, I'll play it. It's only 3 people rushing. And Humphrey is unblocked because everyone's responsibility is normally you block the closest person to the ball to the center because you want to make the blitzer have to go the longest way. So they have established that if Marlon comes, he's hot. So I have to get rid of the ball. We can't protect this. So Marlon came, he was hot, but there's only 3 rushers and they still have everyone back in coverage. Again, with the spies and Hamilton's in coverage this time. So it's really just about the flexibility and versatility of their players because everyone's doing, this is the same coverage as before, but they can't get a beat on it.
Or cover 1?
It looks like 0 to me.
Okay.
Did you see a free safety in the middle that I missed?
No, I was just wondering if this is like a stunt of it where Kyle Hamilton's dropped back into like a true cover 1 because he ends up so far from the line.
Right, but he ends up in man coverage. You see, right? I get what you're saying, but there is no true middle safety. That's the thing that's interesting to me is like you have to have a lot of faith in your DBs because the reason why you can survive in cover 0 is because the ball is coming out quick. Mm-hmm. In this cover 0, that it's there's no free safety in the middle. This play or the last play, there's no free safety in the middle. They're anticipating that you're going to end up having to flush, and they have a spy there to catch you and someone, I don't even know what you would call the position of just catching these crossers. It's like a hole player or something. Like they've develop a defense that's obviously specific for this team. And this is another one where if you look at this, they've been blitzing from this formation enough that look at the Bills backfield. They have two guys in the backfield, 26 and 88 in the backfield in order to block. They're in tight to take away the inside blitzers. And the Ravens, what they do here that I think is interesting is they drop to the hots. The slot would normally be a hot because it's a shorter throw. You might go out to the Z there for a hot and watch 29 come out of the middle field and take away that hot there. Hamilton takes away the hot to, I guess that's 10, Shakur in the slot. And Allen has nowhere to go. Ends up getting sacked because they have one-on-ones that they end up winning. This is the same version of play. You watch everyone drop out there. They're only sending here 5, so it is actually a blitz, which forces a hot, but they're sitting in the hot zones. This is the same situation where Roquan drops to the hot here, and Hamilton adjusts because Hamilton ends up, it seems like he makes a mistake. If you watch 14 here, he makes a mistake in just being smart and figures it out because he's dropping. I think this comes from them all doing different jobs. It's like they hear this call, and I think Hamilton believes that he is this slot dropper and learns as he's dropping that he's not, and then turns back around because he's a smart player and finds the next eligible receiver. So Josh Allen had no chance.
Yeah. And we saw YOLO Josh Allen come back for a game where he was flinging that thing all over the place once they were down 21-3 or 21-0.
I was happy to see the return of YOLO Josh. It was fun.
But this is a fascinating theory. I love this. That this is part of the reason the Ravens are able to establish these leads is because this is a totally unique and flexible defense that teams can't prepare for. Right?
I mean, I think that the Ravens do adjust and put in unique things with their flexible players, unique defenses and coverages and blitzes to attack the specific advantages that the team that they're playing has. And it gives them an early advantage, which I think is part of the reason why they always get out to such fast starts. And I think this is like evidence that while they do miss Mike McDonald, the Ravens' infrastructure is pretty strong. Whatever they do to prepare and scout, it seems like they get the right type of players and build the right type of defense, and it's effective. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the season. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm Domonique Foxworth. That's Charlie Kravitz, and we are joined, as usual, on this fine Friday episode by our buddy Mina Kimes. Hey, bud.
Hello. That was great.
Thank you. I wanted to do something a little different with you this time because, I don't know, you and I talk about these games on a bunch of different platforms, a bunch of different places. So I wanted to nerd out on some football stuff, especially with this Ravens defense, because I'm sure you have some insight.
I love the plays that you chose because I think there's a lot of things that I found really interesting about them. There's 3 things that jump out to mind. One, I saw something that I don't actually remember seeing last year that I want to talk to you about. 2, I think you see some differences between them and Minnesota, who are the other defense who are really killing teams with sim pressures that I think is interesting. And then 3, you saw why they match up so well with Buffalo in particular, and why that I think will continue to be a problem for the Bills. So we can go in any of those directions. It spurred a lot of thoughts of mine.
That's a great menu. I'll let Charlie decide. He looks excited.
Let's go down the list. We'll start with number 1.
Yeah. So the very first play.
I don't know what to call that play, but
the one where you got 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, with Kyle lurking as part of the overload. So what jumped out to me here watching this was the movement of the Roquan dot, right? Because often with the simulated pressures, you've got Smith on the line of scrimmage. This is part of the reason why he was kind of like the skeleton key that kind of unlocked the Ravens. I mean, he's good at a lot of things, but one of the things he's very, very good at is he moves very, very quickly from being at the line of scrimmage to dropping back into coverage, blitzing, vice versa. But here he's off, and yet the dot moves menacingly forward, right? Before dropping back. And that is something, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember seeing them doing that a lot last year. And I noticed them doing it a couple times in this game. And to your point, you made this point, it's very important with Josh Allen to keep eyes on Josh Allen. It's part of the reason why he's unique when you do these simulated pressures. But, as the quarterback, you're seeing him coming towards you, and that little split second kind of threat of a blitz, he's not going to be counted when we talk about who's on the line of scrimmage, but that's definitely affecting the quarterback, and I'm curious to see if they do that more as the year progresses.
It's like as you get to like second and third level thinking, it's like we think this, so you think that, so we think this, so you think that. Because Hamilton falls into that category also as a player on defense who the entire offense is aware of at all times, and whatever they do is going to get a reaction. So you're right, and I'll take it another step for you is. One of the things that one of the ways you beat these simulated pressure teams is with hard counts, because it's not necessarily get someone jump off sides, it's to get them to declare. So if this particular simulated pressure, my instruction is to take a hard step to the line of scrimmage and then back out, then the hard count gets me to show you the wrong thing. And so you're like, oh, I got you now. No, actually you don't, because my role is to give you this step, and your hard count got me to show my hand, but it only got me to show like 10% of my hand, not where I'm actually going.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think for that reason, you think about some of the offenses maybe that'll use hard counts or play faster as the year goes. I don't know, man. Like I've been so cued in on the men on the line of scrimmage that I haven't really been thinking about the second level defenders and how their minor movements, especially when you're playing these like smart quarterbacks. Like the Ravens have Joe Burrow this week, right? And in the past, they have really. A big part of the reason why they've had success with him as a defense is because of their use of simulated pressures and their ability to take away the middle of the field. And I wouldn't be surprised if he might not be Josh Allen, but he will take off especially if it's like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, whatever. And that's something to keep, I think, an eye on too. If Roquan Smith shows blitz or sort of feint splits and then stays in that. Because that when the Ravens play so much split safety against Joe Burrow, that void in particular is so important.
The thing that would change this, so like they're they're very different teams, the Bengals and the Bills. But if the Bills don't have that receiver that scares the Ravens, which is why I think they paired this coverage with zero, because they're like, go ahead, throw a jump ball down there to Mac Holland. Good luck winning the whole game by trying to rely on Coleman. So they won't do that, obviously, with Chase and Higgins. And that's the thing that's when I watched the Mahomes game, this coverage that I'm talking about, I saw like pieces of it in there. Yeah. It was a similar thing, but what they had the free guys do was different. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about it is it's so they seem to be so flexible.
This is one of the things. I mean, I don't know if you thought about this, but go to Mina Kimes' YouTube page.
Oh, yeah, do that.
YouTube.com/Mina Kimes. Mina has interviewed Kyle Hamilton, who talked about the Ravens' build being middle out and protecting the middle of the field. And I think you think of that in more traditional ways. At least I did from the Mike McDonald defense. But seeing it basically being like, we're going to take away a quarterback's release valves and get away all their hot reads. That's fascinating to me, because it's basically like, we're giving you nothing easy. We want you to panic, but not because of pressure, but because there's nothing available.
Yeah, Domonique, Kyle made a great point in the interview that Charlie's talking about, which was he was talking about how Matthew Stafford just went crazy against them, right? And he was like, look, if Matthew Stafford beats us, I'm paraphrasing, throwing like a 30-yard out opposite hash off of his back foot, we will live with that, right? And I think that is a very, very smart way to build a team, but especially to your point, when you're playing a team like Buffalo, where they don't have guys you're super afraid of outside, you become even more comfortable living with that. They're so good at really kind of taking away what offenses do best, and I think you really saw that against the Bills. But the other thing, and this is something you kind of talked about, the amount of man coverage they played, I think was really fascinating when you compare them to a defense like Minnesota, which was, while I was watching what you were doing, I was thinking about Flores' blitzes. So there's two things that are different. Flores, the vast majority of his crazy simulated pressures, they're playing zone, but they're getting to crazy ways of getting to Tampa 2 quarters, whatever. And then they're also on early downs. I believe these were all on third down.
They were all third down. All third down.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a fundamental difference between these defenses, which is the Ravens have much better DBs than Minnesota. Minnesota's amazing. They've been excellent so far this year. The game plans have been awesome. But if you can get them to third down, that really inhibits their ability to do some of the stuff. And I don't think that's true of the Ravens because as like a lot of your clips played out, you saw these guys were like in perfect coverage running upfield with admittedly, again, not the greatest group of pass catchers in the NFL, but that is another thing that strikes me as making them very unique.
But I think that's the point I was trying to make is like it seems like a very smart and flexible defense because they're flexible and talented, so they're good at every level. So they're going to find the spot where they have the advantage, and that's where we're going to go have this fight. And in this game, it felt like to me where they wanted to have the fight was our corners versus your receivers. And in some weeks, it's going to be our pass rush versus your protection, or it'll be our safeties against your quarterback. And it feels like if you go up against every team that they go against, they will have an advantage somewhere because they're so well constructed. The challenge is finding a way to force the game there and not have it. And also to your point that what Hamilton said, it's incredibly accurate and it's a hard thing to think of defensively, but you have to be okay with taking an L every now and then. It's like this coverage is not designed to do that. If you won that play, it's fine. If Josh Allen hit that one rollout crazy stupid touchdown, I was like, all right, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what? That play, when I was thinking back on that, was that the omen that there was not going to be the Bills' day? That for them to move the ball, they needed Josh Allen to be falling out of bounds and throw the ball 50 yards down the field on the line?
I actually think when I realized, man, there's a lot. So this gets to the final point, right? Which is the Bills-Ravens aspect of it and the matchup side. So part of the reason they were able to match up with them well on defense is because of game script, because they were winning on offense. Because the Bills' offense right now, they win with scheme, they win running the ball, they play action. They're very, very different from Bills' offenses of past years. And the Ravens, because they were winning, because they were so dominant on offense, they were able to take them out of that a little bit, right? The Bills, I felt like, weren't quite able to get to some of their stuff because they did fall behind. But another piece of that has nothing to do with really scheme, Domonique, is I actually think this Ravens defense is better against the run this year than they were last year. Those DTs, I mean, God, that dude Travis Jones is playing out of his freaking mind. That's just... the spine of the defense is excellent. And it's because of that they're able to get them into these third downs. Like the Bills couldn't run on them the way that they could other defenses. And, if you can stop the run, then you can do all this other crazy stuff. Like the way Dominic, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Like you talked about cadence. I mentioned no huddle, tempo as being things you can do against simulated pressures. The other thing you could do is just like run the ball.
Yeah. Well, not if you fall behind too early, but the answer to just about every question in football is if you can run the ball, run the ball. That's why football is a really physical game. But that could be the answer. The Ravens are also a team that is flexible and they do like stunts, run. I think we don't spend enough time talking about the run stuffing blitzes and the run stopping stunts because that's another thing that they're capable of doing.
Buddy, they are good at that.
Chiefs, they find a way to inhibit your ability to do what you want. And the fact of the matter is they change up your blocking scheme for one play. And then you address that, assuming that you'll get that blocking scheme again, and then you don't see it again. You see another blocking scheme. And it's hard if you are, it's an example of the defense dictating to the offense. And that's what it seems like a lot of the best defenses are doing today. And the last play that I showed was like, that was the most Flores of them. It's where you are in coverage, but you get a free runner. And that to me just is a sign of exhaustion. It's like we're doing so much that we're just like, all right, we're going to set the protection. We're not going to try to figure this. We're not going to try to outsmart you. We're going to set the protection. And if you have a guy running free, unblocked on a 3-man rush, and you have 8 guys in coverage, and then afterwards we grade Josh Allen, like, hey, you got to make something happen. No. There's nothing you can do right there.
That's the defensive equivalent of when you're watching the Niners and you're like, why is Juwan Jennings wide open and there's nobody next to him? Like, what on earth? And there's only maybe 3 guys running route. That is sort of the pass rush equivalent. I want to just say one other thing, though. Like I was talking about what can you do with simulated pressures right up front. You also there's other things, which is if you have a quarterback who's really creative and can extend, like Josh Allen did a few times in this game. I thought Jordan Love against Minnesota did a few times there too. However, the Ravens defense, they're not unbeatable. Certainly, we've seen that this year, and I do think they happen to match up actually very well with this version of the Bills. The way you beat them and sort of in terms of what they give up, if you have like a superstar number one wide receiver, we saw the Raiders do that. Devontae Adams took over that game. So I think for Cincinnati, it just comes down to, can you find, now they're going to play differently against Cincinnati. They always do. They're going to really, they're going to cloud the out of, but yeah.
But I mean, when that's about, at least to me, that feels like a conversation about dictation is like who is in, because when you have a player like that, then you are dictating to us. We can't do this weird shit where we rush 3 and play 0. What? not with Chase out there. So there are certain things that the Bengals are not going to have to prepare for because they know the Ravens aren't going to try that.
Yeah, not going to get that much man coverage.
One question on this, because part of the thesis on this is you tied it to, this is why the Ravens established such big leads in those games. And obviously they closed out against the Bills, but they've in the past had trouble maintaining that level throughout the entire game. How quickly can offenses adjust to the fact that the Ravens are going to have this flexible, specific game plan so almost every single week?
I mean, I think the offense is also a part of why the Ravens have these quick starts and these big leads. They do start the game fast on both, and this is like a lot based on last year. Yeah. I think it depends on the team, honestly. And this is a conversation that Mina and I had, and I promised you, Charlie, that I'm gonna do some tape on what I believe to be like the divide in modern offenses is that there are some that are just kind of antiquated, like do we do versus these game plan offenses. And I'm not sure who's more equipped to handle these type of adjustments, but it's obvious that there are like veteran teams that find a way. Yeah, I don't think I have a good answer for that question, honestly. Mina, what do you think? Who do you think is... I don't think the implosions that have happened have been anything structural. I just think there's been, if you go back, there's just like, bozo stuff, like random fumbles, like Devontae Adams just deciding to take over the game. Like, I don't think there's anything in the nature of this team that is going to make that. I know that they have like a recent history of it happening in quite a few times. But I feel like I came away from this game against Buffalo feeling significantly more confident about the Ravens defense building on what they did last year, because early there were some busted coverages, there were some guys not playing super great. I feel like they have it was about the scheme, yes, but it was also about the talent. Because, we can talk about all the cool stuff that Zach Orr did, which, again, that's very important. But also Travis Jones, Kyle Van Noy, Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, all just 5 guys off the top of my head played out of their minds, right? Don't forget about Nate.
Nate Wiggins played really well, too. He did, and that's really important. That's really, really important for this team. So
he let a couple of them go, though. He let a couple of them things go. He had some interception opportunities. It was despicable. Broke my heart.
He doesn't look too small out there. That's the other thing, that these DBs tackle. That is a very, very important thing. Let me wrap by asking you, Domonique, a more hot-takey question after this nuanced conversation. Ravens defense or Vikings defense? Who are you taking?
Ravens defense.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah, I mean, I think they both have I was making an argument for the Vikings defense having ballers on it also, because a lot of credit's going to...
They've improved.
Yeah, we were talking about this on this show, about the pass rush and how they're winning in different ways, but the Vikings don't have the ability. They have one guy that they feel comfortable putting in man coverage. They'll put him in man coverage by himself sometimes, it's Stephon Gilmore, and play zone everywhere else, but the Ravens have the flexibility for these guys who are comfortable, not only comfortable in man and zone, but they're comfortable in all the zones. Whereas like you can put them in any part of the zone. They could be a hook, a hole, a curl flat, a deep half player, a flat player, like all of that stuff. All these guys from the linebackers through the safeties and the corners can do that. I think that's true of the Vikings defense also, but they can't play man coverage.
They also don't have Roquan Smith, too. I think there's going to be a game. The linebackers are playing really, really well. I love Blake Cashman. Yeah. But I think there's going to be a game where they get tested in coverage a little bit more on the second level.
All right. Thank you so much, Mina Kimes. Next up, we got Jason Goff.
Are we not doing our Survivor League?
Oh, we got to do Survivor League? Oh, my bad. I blew it. Hold on, Mina. Don't go anywhere just yet. Survivor League. I forgot how competitive Mina is.
I'm winning.
I don't remember who I picked.
Okay. It's time for Survivor. Do you guys want to know who is off the board for each of you?
Sure.
Domonique, you have taken the Seahawks, Colts, Bengals, Cowboys.
Okay.
Mina, you've taken the Bills, Chargers, Bucks, and Bengals. I have taken the Bengals, Ravens, Cowboys, and Seahawks.
You're not winning. Wait, what?
He's 0-4.
Oh, you cursed my Seahawks. Who are you going to curse this week?
I'm never picking the Commanders.
I just want people to understand what you're doing right here. Can you remind everyone the teams you picked and the outcomes?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's gross.
I picked the Bengals against the Patriots.
It started out rough.
I picked the Ravens. I can't remember who the Ravens played in week 2.
It was the Raiders.
Oh, the Ravens against the Raiders. Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers week. That was tough. Then things pivoted a little bit, and I was like, how do I do this? I picked the Cowboys over the Ravens, and then I picked the Seahawks over the Lions.
Wait,
Mina,
so what is their actual records?
He's 0-4.
I'm 0-4. Dominique's 2-2. Mina is 3-1.
All right. Just wanted to remind people of the
or
state of play. Or am I 4-0?
Really don't know.
I am going to go Jags over Colts.
That's bold.
Colts.
I don't think they start 0-5.
That's
just
risky.
Don't.
You're betting against Joe Flacco?
I know. Yeah, this is
Flacco.
That's crazy.
All right. I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Giants. I love the way Geno's playing right now.
I'm going to go with the Steelers
Lions
over
fans
the Cowboys.
are mad at you, Dominique, by the way.
Oh, are they? Why?
We don't need them mad at you on this podcast.
Oh, they can be mad at me on all podcasts. I live in Washington, D.C. I'm not worried about these Lions fans.
He spent all of last year calling the Lions an unserious outfit when they won like 13 games and made the NFC Championship.
I apologize for that. They are a serious outfit. But what are they mad at me for now, Mina?
Not giving Jared Goff enough credit for his 18 for 18.
Mad at me for that? They're mad at all of sports media for that. Like, nobody gives Jared Goff enough credit in their eyes.
He didn't even get a game ball.
Yeah, his own damn coach didn't give enough credit. I love Detroit, though. I've been there a couple times, like 3 times in the past year. My cousin lives there.
We shared a delicious Greek dinner.
Oh, yeah. We did. We did just share a Greek dinner at the draft. And that's why. All right. Bye for real, Mina. Love it. See ya.
Bye, guys.
All right, we are joined by show Hall of Famer Jason Goff. From here on out, when you join the show, we must start recording immediately because you come in with energy and with jokes and with fun, and I appreciate it. But so much funny stuff is not in the show because we was getting set up while you was firing off jokes.
Well, I don't want us to get canceled. It's as simple as that.
So there's some jokes that you got to get off before. Yeah, all right. I mean,
I got gripes though.
All right, you got gripes. So you warned me of this that Jason has a gripe with me. I'm not sure. I'm a little nervous about it. I'm concerned, but I'll open up the floor because you are a show Hall of Famer. What did I do?
So, I've been in this business since I was 19 years old, right?
Okay.
And shout out to all the trials and tribulations that this industry has put before me. And I've gotten to the point now in my older age where, a little exposure is happening. We had our gender reveal. And before that, my lady's more famous than I am, right? I'm like a Z-list celebrity. People Magazine did a little insert. And do you know, they were like, hey, we hear that you're on the Domonique Foxworth Show.
What?
And I was like, there has been a career that has been built up for 2 decades now. Right. No, I was like, I'm not Charlie. What's happening here? Right? And all in one, like, I was so happy for y'all, but in the same moment, I was like, wait a minute, hold on now.
Nah, what happened was you just ran into the one writer who happens to listen to the show. That's what happened. It's probably like a Lebatard show fan or something that follows our show. It was like, hey, Jason Goff, you the Hall of Famer, right? Yeah.
Right. They Google sports and Jason Goff, and the first thing that came up is me and you in the green suit and Charlie with the curls. That's it. Yeah. That's all that happened.
Well, I assume
I'm with it though.
I assume that
how will we get to the moon? I'm with it.
I assume they did not see you in that sweatsuit because they wouldn't have messed with you in that thing because that thing screamed. I done put some people down. Some people talk crazy to me. That sweatshirt says that I'm in pharmaceuticals, but I ain't graduated from high school.
Hey, you see it? Straight from the Colors movie edition of sweatsuits.
Dope dealer fresh. You are dope dealer fresh today. You ain't fooling me with them Malcolm X frames. you got on frames that are for the upliftment of the community and a tracksuit that is for bringing down the community.
Hey, listen to me. Is every man going for the fall? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
I'm feeling good about life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm like you. I'm with Charlie. Charlie's blood sugar is at a good level right now. We are rolling.
I had to send Jason a picture. Maybe we'll put it up on his show. It's Charlie. I guess it's a good question for Jason. All right, so
we had cupcakes brought into the
it was a birthday in the office, so we had cupcakes.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and to Rob. Shout out Rob. Happy birthday, Rob. And so Charlie grabs his cupcake and immediately preps his cupcake for eating, which to me means you take the wrapper off and you put it in your mouth. To you, Jason, do you have any of this like fat kid instinct that Charlie has to do the next move, the second level of a cupcake preparation?
So when I eat a cupcake, and we got a really dope cupcake spot here not too far away from us, shout out to Sprinkles.
Why you say sprinkles? Hold on. Why you say sprinkles like it was a mom and pop? Everybody got sprinkles.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't travel anywhere outside.
I was waiting for you to name some like special spot. It's called Windy City Cakes.
We got some Molly's. We got some. Quality control for me, player. I see you when you get here. I'm not coming to no amateur talent shows when it comes to cupcakes.
You gotta have 2 locations at least. I need this thing to have to prove it. I'm sorry. All right. So
real deal. So I take the packaging off, I take the little paper wrapper off, and I eat the cake part, and then I save the frosting for the end. Oh, that's what I do.
That's not a fat kid
so every
move.
bite is frosting.
That is a kid move, though. That feels like a kid move. So with Charlie,
I'm a child.
So Joni, I rip the cake part in half and then make a sandwich, putting half of it on top of the icing, so that every bite has an exact ratio of icing and cake.
That is some serious cupcake innovation right there.
Domonique saw it, burst out laughing, took a picture, also sent it to Mike Golick Jr., to which Mike Golick Jr. said, of course.
Mike Golick is just like, it's another day in the life. Like, this is what you do. I mean, it's efficient. It works. Like, it's smart.
I'm playing too high on the cupcake. Every inch of the field is covered.
It's a smart move because you don't have the situation where you get the cupcake, like the icing on your face. It's a smart move. But the way that you did it, I feel like it's not translating as well. But, like, I sat down and started eating my cupcake, and Charlie started doing surgery on that thing. It was just like, it was more workman-like than enjoyable, which is.
The biggest thing is I got up like 3 times about to get like a fork or a knife to do it. And then I finally was like, nah. F it.
Get your hands dirty, baby.
This can be done by hand.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
What I will say, though, and I appreciate the picks, Dom, but what I will say, that seat is hiding how stout and powerful that man truly is. Because the angle that I got, I'm like, oh, this dude's a fire hydrant. Like, this man to get a little leverage on.
Taste some hill. We got to taste some hill.
Yeah. Little bass. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? You play linebacker and running back. I'm not mad at Charlie.
Man, yeah.
It's hibernation time.
Charlie was offensive lineman. All right, so we got to get to some of these games. So we're gonna do our normal good game, guilty pleasure construct. Who should start? Should I start?
Yeah, you can start. We'll go Domonique, then Jason, then me.
All right. I mean, my good game is Ravens-Bengals, which you could argue is a guilty pleasure game because the Bengals aren't good at football, but their back is against the wall and they have familiarity with this division opponent, which could make the game closer than we anticipate. But I mean, I got the Ravens handling business because they are back on track defensively, and the Bengals can't stop nothing.
So for me, the good game that I like is that Texans-Bills game, because if you're looking at everything that the Buffalo Bills have been so far this season, you lose the top two receivers. Everybody's looking at what Josh Allen's going to be. Like Sean McDermott, like, let's face it, like that's a dude who is on borrowed time. And Josh Allen, for this last year and a quarter now, has been playing some lights out football, like the second or third best quarterback, like we expect him to be. And then you got that Texan squad where, I'm sorry, that division is trash, right? And they haven't gotten into the thick of it, but I'm still waiting for them to be the target that they expect themselves to be. Right. Like last year was like, oh, look at the Texans. And then the beginning of this year is like, oh, look at the Texans. This is one of those games where I decide whether I am thinking that the Texans are a top tier contender or if their team's still trying to wait to get over the hump. So I'm looking at Bills-Texans in that realm.
I think Bills-Texans is one of the most interesting games of the weekend. Both of those offenses are not exactly what we thought they were going to be coming to the season in certain ways. Like, I think we thought the Texans offense was going to be a lot more explosive. And I know we've talked about that a little bit on the show, that Slowick is still playing sort of a conservative run for a system, regardless of who's got in the backfield. And then the Bills side of it, I'm stealing this take from Nate Tice, who's talked about the way they built their wide receiver room like a basketball team, where they have, it's like really advanced. They don't have superstars, but they have all these guys who can do different things on the route tree. And he has called Mac Hollins a decoy X, someone who's like, you're not getting, like, you're the first read on these plays, but you're not really the first read. You just are this spacer. And yes, obviously the Bills had a tough week against the Ravens defensively, which we talked about at the top of the show, how advanced the Ravens were with their scheme. But the fact that they've been able to operate it this way, when I think that was a surprise to a lot of people, other than Domonique, who knew the Bills were going to be good, has been amazing, because it's not just run the ball with James Cook, run the ball with Josh Allen. They've been able to manufacture a passing game with guys that we did not think were studs.
I appreciate you remembering and giving me credit, but don't give Nate Tice no more credit, man.
It's a great point.
I know.
I hadn't heard them describe the Bills receiving core
I'm
that
not
way.
saying it's not a good point. We take the takes that we want to take. We don't got to credit him. That's your take now.
Friend of the show.
When the last time you been on? Not a friend no more. His friendship expired. That's I take now. Was it Decoy X?
So I gotta reveal something.
By the way, shout out to him. I went and visited him down at the mosque the other day. Decoy X is good brother. Good brother.
Yeah, I don't want to piss off Decoy X. He is.
Yeah, not at all.
I don't want him
That's
to.
a good man.
You remember that in the movie where he's just. That's what people do to the Bengals defensive front. It's like, hey, out of the way. Anyway, Chuck.
No one man should have that much power. You know what I mean?
You got a good. That's a good little Denzi you got there. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, man.
So I actually had Tice booked for a show, and it coincided with one of Declan's flag football games. And I just ate it and canceled it.
Good job.
And so it was like he wanted to be on it. It was just, but it was my bad.
Okay, well, fine. We can give him a little credit for that.
And by the way, if you are a future guest on this show, know that when you get canceled or you don't get booked for a while, they just gonna blame it on Deck.
There you go.
That's all
what
it is.
Kids are for.
They gonna blame it on Deck.
You know how many occasions that I use my kids as excuses to get out of? Like, oh yeah, I was late. Oh, I don't know. Kid was feeling a stomach issue with the kids.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if Jason, I don't know if you've realized this about Domonique, but he is like a professional. He'll make things work, even if it's uncomfortable for him. So now I will text him like, "Are you available at 3 p.m. on this day?" And I'll get an honest answer rather than being like, "Hey, I booked Jason for this." And then, because then he'll be like, "All right, well, I had something booked. I'll cancel it. The show comes first."
I would have just been hosting the show from the sideline. That's it. We're just coaching and hosting at the same time. Get it done. Coach of the year.
It's something to be said for people who make things work. You know, we need more people like that, because the people who usually don't make things work, let's be honest with it, not usually that talented. and then your talent overshoots, your diva status, and the next thing you know, you're out the door. So I'm with it. And I also use my son all the time for things that I don't want to do. And like, hey, Jay got to get potty trained. Like, he ate. I'm like, nah, it don't matter. We're working on some things. No, don't worry about it. Always use these keys.
I got my guilty pleasure game
Yeah.
It involved.
I gotta get my good game first.
Okay. Oh, we skipped past. My bad. Apologies.
It's okay. Vikings Jets.
Oh no.
The 4-0 Vikings.
Oh no.
The elite team in the NFC North. No. So it's interesting because the Jets might be on fraud watch.
Ooh.
The Jets might be on fraud watch.
I don't think you can do might and watch.
Okay, so you want me to officially put them on fraud watch?
You can either say the Jets might be a fraud or the Jets are on fraud watch.
The Jets are on fraud watch.
Okay.
Assuming they don't have Devontae Adams to placate their bizarre quarterback by this weekend. This team made such a kerfuffle last week about, we didn't have Aaron Rodgers last year to put it on Sean Payton, who better keep my coach's name out of his mouth. I'm going to show him this year. They lost to Bo Nix, who had -7 passing yards at halftime. They allowed the Broncos to run the ball on them when Bo Nix had -7 yards at halftime. He wasn't throwing the ball more than 10 yards down the field ever. And the Broncos were able to run on this should I say vaunted? I think Joe Buck called them vaunted 10 times in week 1. This vaunted Jets defense. And they're actually going up against a vaunted Brian Flores defense who faced his first adversity where they gave up 4 touchdowns in the second half to Jordan Love. And we're wondering how good the Vikings really are, if there's ever going to be a Sam Darnold pumpkin week. I know we've talked about the scheme that the Vikings have on the show and how exceptional it is. And they might have the best coaching duo in the NFL. KOC and Flores are exceptional on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to learn a lot about both of these teams this weekend, because if the Jets go out and lay an egg, they're off of fraud watch. They're officially frauds. And if the Vikings if it's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing of the first half or second half Vikings, I think we're going to know if that second half was an aberration or not.
Yeah. If you're waiting on a team to be a fraud, though, aren't they kind of already?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? It's like getting that email from the prince across the water and, hey, put $5,000 in this bank account.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not putting no money in the Jets or the Vikings bank account. I'm sorry. 6 years of Sam Darnold has to count for something, right? Yeah. Like, when's the last time we saw a redemption song at quarterback a la Rich Gannon or Brad Johnson or something like when's the last time? Baker Mayfield currently?
No,
maybe?
I would give it to Geno.
Yeah, Geno's amazing.
Yeah, but Geno had such a
I guess he didn't have the lows of lows, right? Like he wasn't giving up on right?
Well,
I mean, no.
The only time I've ever heard of a quarterback being punched in the face by someone in his locker room.
But I guess my point is, at no point did Geno's play become the reason why he wasn't going to, right. They didn't, if I remember correctly, right, he didn't get a fair shot, right? They wanted to put him in, but they forced Eli back in, right? Then he got rocked in the face, and then they moved on.
He was on the Jets, so he, as a rookie, he actually started all 16 games as a rookie. He was a second round pick, and the Geno thing's interesting. Like, he was the prohibitive Heisman favorite. I think he had more touchdowns than incompletions after like 4 games of his junior year at West Virginia. And people were like enamored with the arm talent. He started 16 games as a rookie. They went 8-8, 12 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. It was the second year when he had no progress that they started to write him off. And he actually, he was with the Jets.
Don't forget.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You didn't mean to say
I
that.
actually just did that unintentionally.
That's unfortunate.
But, I mean, he started for 2 more years after that, off and on.
Am I corny?
Yeah, so it didn't happen like it used to, right? I don't know what's to blame for that, but we don't, like, usually when you get half a decade of data on a quarterback, it's usually real, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
I don't know.
I didn't like the don't write back thing. Am I?
It was corny.
Okay, good.
I'm glad we're all saying this now, because like people thought that was cool.
I hated it.
And I was like,
I hated it. It's probably because we're old and not cool. Maybe so. No, he's old. He's old too.
No, he's a millennial. He's my age.
I think what I didn't like about it was that it felt prepared, which I guess maybe we should have rewarded him for his confidence.
No. We had too much scar tissue. A Seahawks quarterback using a canned line in a press conference.
That's what it is.
Is like
that's
the most triggering thing in the world.
That's what it is. You nailed it. That's why I didn't like it. Because like I thought they just got rid of Russ. They got another Russ out there.
He showed up on Halloween as Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Like whenever you hear stuff like that, I kind of think of it as like back in the day where you just look in the mirror and be like, all right, this is what I'm going to say. Whether it be like in an introduction or nowadays, like this, if she say this, then I got to come back with this. And then you just sit there and you're like, oh, everything, your game plan just fly out the window and you got to think on your feet. Like I like quarterbacks who can think on their feet. If you ready to drop a freestyle line on us, like make it be an 80s and 90s freestyle. Not what they call them freestyles now where it's just prepared raps. I don't like that.
I did think that. I guess it also kind of felt like this is my moment. Like, I'm not going to have another moment. And he's had plenty of other moments. You know, like.
He's good.
He's good. You won a game. Like, it's not time for writing back. It was his first time. It was when they were playing Russ, right? It was his first time as a starter. Yeah. And he's like, they wrote me off. I didn't write back. He probably was saying that stuff to his head, all training camp. It's like, can't wait.
Wouldn't you want to write back, though?
Yeah, I would.
Wouldn't you, like, if somebody writes you off, wouldn't you be like, hey, dear writer offer, I am the man now.
Lank.
You know what I mean? Right. I forgot about Lank until I saw him running all over Georgia the other day.
He is lanking out there. All them naysayers have been let know. My guilty pleasure game is the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh my God. And you might have a hard time understanding why this is a guilty pleasure game.
Yeah, these teams suck.
But this is
thank you, Charlie.
This is why, Jason. Because I got my eye on Joe Flacco. It appears that Joe Flacco it's possible that he felt wronged by one particular quarterback, and he has taken it out on a series of other quarterbacks who might remind you of that one particular quarterback. He going behind all of these black starters and showing their up because of Lamar. I'm going to watch for the Joe Flacco revenge tour. He's keeping it going. Oh, you thought it was all fun and games. You locked it now.
Hey, I'm winning.
So you got bench for Lamar, and then it was Deshaun Watson, and now Anthony Richardson.
And in Cleveland, they just like, wish we had Joe back. And now he about to do the same thing. He coming to Anthony Richardson. You know what I bet there's not? A groundswell. There's not a groundswell to bring Anthony Richardson back out there. It's a Joe Flacco town now. He going to take all these towns back. CJ, be careful, CJ. Take care of yourself, CJ.
You saying he the John B. and Robin Thicke of quarterbacking is what he is.
He coming in.
So he's the reverse Alex Smith, I see. You know what I mean? Alex Smith to this day, I think a brother going to take his job at every turn.
Alex Smith.
Right? It was Colin Kaepernick, it was Patrick Mahomes, and God rest the dead, Dwayne Haskins, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Alex Smith was out there paving the way. Thank you, Alex Smith. He was on the Freedom Rides.
You think
Yo, what? Yeah. Did I go too far? It's too much?
I was far enough with the decoy
I went
now
too far.
You talking about freedom.
My bad. I apologize. Sorry, Jason. I don't want to get us canceled. We getting in People Magazine now.
This is so tough because I was about to give a stat. And now look at do I pipe in? Do I give the stat?
Drop it on us.
Stat me down.
You know, I think Joe Flacco might have been like, this is the place to sign when he realized that Anthony Richardson had a lower passing rating on passes behind the line of scrimmage than on passes more than 50 yards downfield.
So Charlie is now giving us factual data for the gentrification of the quarterback position.
Yeah. That is exactly what's happening. Hold on,
here's the big question,
Charlie. What?
Here's the big question. If he's on the Bears and Caleb Williams is playing really badly for the next 8 weeks, how are you feeling about that, Jason? If Joe Flacco's just sitting there looking handsome,
I was listening to Jason's show last season, and Fields was out there. I think there was a couple weeks where Jason would have open arms.
Yo. We are already dealing with the Tyson Bagent phenomenon that hit Hard Knocks. That we listen, y'all. The last thing I want for Caleb Williams is an established white man to be backing him up. You know what I'm saying? And do with me what you will. Everybody out there who doesn't have a sense of humor, that's fine.
No.
But Tyson Bagent last year had more interceptions than touchdowns, and he played for 2 games. And people were saying that the number 10 or 11 overall pick in the draft can learn a thing or two from the dude who came from Division II Shepherd University. Can you imagine if a Super Bowl performer like Joe Flacco was behind Caleb Williams and Caleb was doing a check down Charlie, no disrespect, stuff that he's been doing the last game or so? Nah, man. We'd be all of Lombard, all of Cicero, back of the yards, Canaryville would be sending it up. Torrey Taylor got more jersey sales damn near than anybody on the team right now. So, you know Chicago, we always looking for a good white man to get behind. So Joe, stay where you at. Stay taking Anthony's job, and then move on. The funny thing is, spot to spot.
The biggest Anthony Richardson fan on this podcast and of anybody I know is Charlie Kravitz. I did not believe in Anthony Richardson because I see his movies, and his movies had great action sines and no plot. They was plotless movies, and it seems to be.
So he the Michael B. Jordan, the quarterback.
You cannot disparage all of Michael B. Jordan.
Look at Charlie. Sorry,
thinking. I thought about that for a second. I was like, yeah.
Take your shirt off. Say 2 lines. All right, it's a wrap. Shout out. That's not right. I'm sorry.
He was in
Fruitvale
Station.
He'll whoop me. Yeah, it's one of those that I haven't seen. To be honest with you.
I feel you. I also am no longer a fan. I can't take it anymore. Them movies make me sad, man. I don't need to be sad.
Man,
but
are you serious?
I also feel like I have to. Like, somebody got to watch them. I'm just buy the tickets from here on out and not go.
Just don't. Well, the movie is the best place to get a 2-hour nap for me. Like, the last movie I went to with my son was Wild Robot, and that was the last. He was even astonished that I stayed up for the 2 hours.
Yeah, that looks good. I want to see that with the kids.
Oh, it's a terrific movie.
It looks good.
It's a great movie, brother. It's a great movie. But back to Charlie and his gentrification of the quarterback.
Well, I guess
position.
I have one more gentrification idea.
Give it to us.
If Joe Flacco was the backup in Philly right now, where he's from Pittsburgh, he's got the Delco accent. You could say Flacco in that Philly accent. Flacco in like a gigantic green jacket with big
shot.
He's with Big Dom and Sirianni.
Oh my gosh, Charlie, the all-out war.
Charlie's starting a movement.
The all-out war between middle-aged black women and old white men in the streets of Philly would be outrageous. You think they gonna let somebody?
And on November 5th, by the way,
you gonna let somebody come for that handsome man? That in that city, that would be great. We got to make that happen.
Man, so what? Half the quarterbacks last time we talked, 15 of the 32, like right, are brothers, right? Yeah. So now it's you can jump from city to city if you want. If you Joe Flacco, you got a good 3-4 more years in this thing.
I don't know what entity would hire him, but he kind of like a quarterback hitman, and they just like send him from city to city. Like, hey, Joe, we got a problem over here. Go ahead, take care of that. Oh,
that's why Washington doing so well. They told Jaden Daniels, like, hey, you gotta be careful. It's like Omar in the Wire. Hey, Flacco coming. You just hear Flacco whistling.
Exactly.
You know what probably happened? He's in D.C., not far from Baltimore, and they was like, you got to have a fast start because you know what happens around here. We got this guy, and Joe not far. He come right down the road, and they start playing that music. It was a whistle. It was a whistle, right?
Step off the bus. You just see a foot put out a cigarette butt. You know what I mean? You see Joe Flacco
and
walk
everybody
up.
behind whispering, it's Flacco coming. Flacco coming?
Flacco coming.
Oh, no, Flacco coming.
People throwing their playbooks out the window like the drugs in the Wire.
Throw your helmet. I don't want it no more. Flacco come in. I don't care.
I hate y'all.
I don't know about these good game, bad games no more. I don't care nothing about none of this. I just would like to create this movie where he is John Wick. He's John. They just drop him in. He's Jason Bourne.
You dare disrespect Flacco, man. That man went on a historic run. He carried Ray Lewis to a Super Bowl title.
I'm not disrespecting him. I'm
no, not you.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else. Everybody else out there.
Shout out to Deer Antler Spray.
Oh, Deer Antler Spray. Man.
Listen.
Shout out to the Mitchell Report.
All right, Jason, what's your guilty
Who
pleasure
cares?
game?
I'm sorry, Jason.
I mean, yeah, right.
Is the Bears?
Who cares? It's correct.
Is the Bears?
Who cares? Yeah, you're damn
Yes.
right. It's been the Bears for the
revenge
last
game for
43
Andy
years of my life.
That's funny. I never
Man,
considered the fact that some fan bases only have guilty pleasure games.
Yeah,
You're looking at it.
No, you don't watch them. You just don't watch them.
You don't watch.
No,
you don't watch your favorite team?
Once we started coming to the office, I was red zone only.
Yeah.
Once we started watching the games together, I couldn't have cared
You
less.
know how I know that Daniels is really good is that the nickname of the team, it sounds kind of cool now. Like
the Mandos.
Yeah, I used to clown you like, hey, what the Mandos doing this offseason? Now I come in and say, you see them Mandos? It sounds different now, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey, we see athletes and entertainers alike make the corniest of things look cool, right? Like whether it be fashion, like I look at some of these fashion pages now and I know I'm old because I could not wear that and not laugh at myself in the mirror at times. Jaden Daniels is that dude, but we gotta worry about this little market correction.
You said that we've seen cool people make corny stuff cool.
Hey.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your man Caleb.
Oh, well.
Off the field trying to do a hip hip hooray. He couldn't pull it off. He did make it look cool.
Yeah.
That was shocking to me because athletic people make everything look cool.
Yeah.
The double jump fist pump.
Charlie, what you have to realize, and you around an athlete who probably was cool before he was had notoriety. Mm-hmm. What you have to realize, and shout out to all my buddies out here, a lot of athletes are lame as hell. Yeah. And you start to become popular in high school and college, and you don't really have to earn that experience because people just think you cool, and then you have to pull off cool things every once in a while, and you can't stick the landing, no pun intended. Like when I saw that, everybody's been after him because of the fingernail polish and some of the outfits, and it's just listen. Just like Jay-Z said, hey, Tupac had a nose ring too, right? Like you get to a certain age where you grow out of things and you shouldn't be worried about what young kids do. But the hip hip hooray thing, it was it was a little much. It was one of those things where it's like, come on, man, like just stay on your feet. Yeah, for me, it's the Bears and the Panthers. Andy Dalton he's been okay, right, since taking over for Bryce Young. The Carolina Panthers are bad though, and the Bears got this soft stretch of the schedule coming up here where 5 of the 6 worst pass defenses in the league are coming up on their schedule. So now's the time where you find out if Shane, and I've been talking about it on my pod, if Shane Waldron was a guy who landed on his feet or a guy that should be considered as a head coaching candidate for next year and the year after. Because that's what we heard about Luke Getsy, and then Luke Getsy goes to Oakland and has, marginal success until they hit their little roadblocks over the last couple of games. But for me, Caleb Williams did exactly what he was supposed to do in that Rams game. Check down, find. And DeAndre Swift didn't stop being fast. It was just the line was terrible, right? So you find you guys, you get Mercedes Lewis old ass out there to extend the line a little bit because Jared Verse had his way with Braxton Jones. The Carolina Panthers pass rush isn't very good. I talked to Jake Delhomme on my pod about it. So this is a win for the Bears, but last 43 years have been the guilty pleasure watching the Bears because 85 was a long time ago.
What's the level of optimism? I think we're all in agreement that Caleb's probably going to be fine as he's moved forward. He's had enough flashes where it's like he's getting better week by week. What's the level of optimism about the offense figuring it out this year? Because it has looked rough with Shane Waldron. Rougher than it should be for what we thought was a great situation for a number 1 overall pick.
I never thought that Jackson Smith and Jigba's comments at the Super Bowl last year would be
we live?
Illuminated, right? And I know the dudes he was on the show with at the time too, and they were kind of flabbergasted when he said it. You look at how intricate an NFL offense can be, and then how elementary seemingly this one is, and it's never a good sign when your committee of leaders come to you and say, hey, coach us a little bit harder, right? Because now you've handed over things to them where they could be like, hey, coach us a little bit softer now. We're tired of this, right? So I'm worried that this offense is going to be it's going to be elementary for as long as they can stand it. If you can't block it, you can't run it. And they've got injuries up front. They've got free agent bust so far up front. Darnell Wright hasn't looked like the guy he looked like in his rookie year. Braxton Jones, who is a guy that I've never truly, got my head around. Like, the Bears have not spent high draft capital or money on that left tackle spot since John Tate back in the days. And that's a long, long time ago. So Caleb is learning that he doesn't have as much time as he used to, but the throw to Cole Kmet, the throw to DJ Moore in the back of the end zone, like, just asking him to get 3 or 4 of those off a game, be the best Drew Bledsoe you could be until things turn up, like they supposed to next year when you have a new coach.
So my guilty pleasure game, I was going to not do the Commanders. I was going to do Dolphins-Patriots because it's disgusting, and we're going to find out really who the worst team in the AFC is. But now I've been encouraged. I have to do Commanders-Browns. I'm going to be delighted watching this. It's one great team and one bad team. The Commanders, great team. Most efficient offense over a 4-game stretch. You look at Jaden.
You just wait. You just wait.
Oh, the regression is coming.
No.
That market correction?
No, not the regression is coming. The Ravens are coming. Week after next, they go into Baltimore.
We're on to Cleveland.
Okay, yeah.
We're not on to Baltimore yet.
Enjoy this week, sir. That defense is going to be a problem for
Angry
young
Roquan
Jaden.
and the boys coming.
Oh.
Here's the thing. He can't be contained.
Okay.
He's gonna,
okay. I don't want to bring you down. Enjoy. Fly high.
That's exactly
Fly
right.
high, little birdie. Fly high.
Well, no. So here, this game is actually important because Cleveland, despite having some defensive regression this year, is still obviously a really good defense. So we're going to learn more about that. They protected Jaden Daniels a lot better the last 2 weeks, and Cliff Kingsbury's offense isn't just Cliff Kingsbury. It's Anthony Lynn being the running game coordinator, and so he has sort of saved Cliff Kingsbury from some of his natural proclivities to just air the ball out horizontally, and they're actually establishing the run with Brian Robinson, and whether it's Jeremy McNichols or Eckler, who should be back this week, they're running the ball better than we thought a Cliff Kingsbury team would. And if the defense continues to improve and is just not the worst defense ever, which it had been through the first 3 weeks of the season, they should be a team that can be a playoff-ish team. And seeing them against a good Cleveland defense is important for a young quarterback like Jaden.
The tale is old as time. Vance Joseph helping out a Cliff. You're welcome, Cliff. On that note,
shout out to Vance Joseph.
Appreciate you, Hall of Famer, for joining us. We got to do this more often.
Thank you.
Full Go Podcast. Y'all check it out. Enjoy this ride to the top with Jason Goff and his beloved Caleb Williams. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank y'all. I appreciate it. And Charlie, get some water in your system, man. That's too much sugar this early in the day.
All right. I love you, Podville. Thank you, all great producers, and Mina and Jason, also great. Thanks. Bye.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.